Thank you. Thanks for that. Yeah, hi friends. Good morning, everyone. In the last session, we had discussed till this, which one I say, till decision making statements. So if anybody has missed the session, you can go through the recording. I'll share the recording one more time today once the session is done. Let me just share the screen. Please confirm if the screen is visible for all of you. Is screen visible to everyone? Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. We have learned many things in the last couple of sessions in Python. So we have discussed all this stuff earlier, and we did discuss about decision making statements that we had discussed about, and if and some simple if and multiple if and nested if, and then we had discussed about we had a clear discussion about indentation. I hope this should be fine for all of you. And then we had discussed about Elif ladder as well. This one, I think till this we had discussed in the last session. Okay. So anybody missed, no issues. Still, you can go through the recordings. I need to edit few of these sessions. Probably, but all those were shared already in the group. Actually, you can go through them. So that's about that previous sessions. So we'll start with loop control statements today. So this is one of the very most happening thing in Python. So loop topic. So generally when this is the topic we start today now anyhow. And what is a loop now? Loop performs a repetitive task like decision making statements like if else or elif. They can check a condition only for one time. It might be one condition or multiple conditions in an expression. So what this decision making statements can do is they can check a condition only for one time. Suppose if you want to check condition repeatedly, then if is not sufficient. In such cases, we need this loop statements. What is a loop control statement? Generally, these perform a repetitive task. And in Python, we have two types of loops. So when you talk about loops perform, what shall we say? A repetitive task. Okay. And means you have some condition and This loops keep on executing this loop continuously until the condition is false. So that's what we call a loop is. And generally these loops perform a repetitive task. So that is fine. And in Python, we have two loops. One is while, the other one is a for. That's all. There is no do while. Okay. And that too, like in C, C++, Java, and C Sharp, or many more languages, we don't have this normal or regular for loop. The for which we are going to use is something more sophisticated for, or it is a special for loop, which is usually applied on collections, not on regular incrementation or decrementation. We'll see that with examples. So this is a simple idea about what loops do we have in Python. Okay, that is fine. Now let's start with while loop. What is while loop? Okay, all this stuff. If you have already attended, a few of these, Java sessions, right, which we are doing for Selenium, these are all almost similar. I told you, right? If you are really good with one language, it's almost good with every other language. Okay. So I hope your PyCharm, everything is ready with you. So while working on this, you can parallelly execute these programs. So what is just a minute. When we talk about any loop, what is that we need to work with loop? We need initialization. Initialization says where loop should start. We need a condition. Condition says how many times loop should execute. Incrementation or decrementation. This is a step statement. Step statement increments a loop or decrements a loop. Okay. So when we talk about loop needs all these three. It needs an initialization, it needs a condition, it needs an incrementation or decrementation. Okay. Initialization tells where loop should begin, like setting some initial value. Conditions tells how many times loop should execute. And incrementation or decrementation tells whether to increment a loop or decrement loop. Okay. If it is a loop, either we must increment or we must decrement. Without this increment or decrement, loop doesn't work well. It won't work efficient. Got it, friends? So that's the quick idea. Understood now. Next one. So this is a quick idea here. Next, the syntax. Let's start with while. If you start with while, the syntax of while look like similar to if statement. But the difference is if can check a condition or only for one time. Whereas if you see here, while can check until the condition is false. And here your block is declared, while block is declared through indentation. All the statements under while, if you see, are equally indentated and they are pushed one tab inside, if you see here. Remember, this is how we construct blocks in Python. And you declare while like this and then condition. Also make sure that you declare this colon in each of these constructs, even it is in if or while or for okay, class or function or anywhere. If you are building any entity in Python, that entity might be a loop or it might be a function, it might be a class or it might be anything. Each declaration has to be ended with this colon, and then a block follows after that. So make sure you declare this colon. This is very much important in Python. Now the execution flow is like this. Here you declare the condition. What happens now? This loop executes continuously, repetitively until this condition you give here is false. Okay, this is simple syntax. Later we apply a condition here. Understood, friends? So the execution flow is like this. Step one is it starts with initialization. Step two executes condition. If this is true, it gets inside the block, executes this block, and then execute step statement. Again, go back to the start of the loop. and then again check the condition. Again, if it is true, and it will again gets inside the inside gets into the loop. Again, execute statements and then increment the or decrement the step statement. Or we can say execute step statement. Again, go back to the beginning of loop, and again it will execute condition. So this process continues until this condition is false. Once this is false, then the execution of a loop is skipped and the control move to the next statement after while loop. This is the execution flow. You got it, friends? So this is an execution flow of a while loop here. Understood now? So let us do a quick program. Let me open my PyCharm here. What I do is open chart. All of you can open your PyCharm. Please open your PyCharm and then we can start working on this. Yeah, let's open. Just waiting for PyCharm to start. I've already started. Let me just wait. Sometimes it takes time. Yeah, here if you see, PyCharm is started already. So in the last session, we were at this program working with Valif. What we can do is we can take another folder, right click, new Python file. Sorry, you can do one thing. Remove the just ignore that. Right click, new. First, create a directory and just apply. Create it. Give the name loops. I told you right. Having a separate folder for all different types of programs. This makes more clear for us to check on our programs. Okay. Then view. I'm creating a Python file in loops. So first one, while this is printing 1 to 10 numbers with while loop. Okay. 110. I'm just giving while 110. So, so where is that? It's creating. It's in the process. So let's wait. We don't need this. I'm just closing this. Not needed. Unnecessary appearance here. So now this is while, and you know the syntax now. How the syntax of while look like. So what is that? While condition and then statements and then step statement. So now here, first you should declare a variable. This is Python, right? We don't need any data types because it is dynamically typed. Data type is not needed. So then what is that we should do? While I less than or equal to 10, colon. So put colon and then enter. Then if you enter, as this is IDE, it will automatically pick up the indentation. So if it is notepad, you have to check your indentation. But if it is IDE, it will automatically pick up the indentation. I'll just show you one program how to execute in notepad as well. But before that, what is the point here? You should have a clear idea. Like, what happens with how to set indentation. Right, that is here. When I just press enter, this PyCharm will automatically pick up that indentation. It is providing a tab space. If you see here, there is a tab space here. Okay, then I should print it. For that, I use print statement in Python. And then you have to increment your I equal to I plus 1. Here we don't have unary operators. Like in Java or C or C++, we don't have unary operators in Python. We have, this is how we increment a loop in Python, I equal to I plus 1. So we have to use this full form or shorthand notation. Otherwise, I plus equal to 1. That's all. These were the two possible options what we have in Python to increment or decrement. Either we should use this full form or we have to use this shorthand notation. That's all. There is no unary operators. Don't try that here in Python, because even if you try, it won't work for us. If you see here, I put I plus plus, you see an error immediately here. Okay. What is that? You have an error here. So that is a quick idea. Excuse me. So that's all. This is a program to print 1 to 10 numbers. Okay. So now if we run this program, see, you can go right click and say run while 1 to 10. Of course, you can see here there is an error with I plus plus because unary operators is not supported in Python. This is a unary operator plus plus. Okay. So then what should we do here? We should say I equal to I plus 1 here. Right. So right click and then run while 10, 1 to 10. You can see now 1 to 10 is printed in this program. 1 to 10 is printed in this program. Okay, suppose if you want to debug this program, put a debugger here, right click and then debug while 1 to 10. Now if you see the debug starts here. I told you, right? We have debug options at the in this window, debug window. This is the debug window you can see here, and this is step into. Usually this is needed when you are trying to trace with functions or methods. And here this is step into my code means to execute line by line. You choose this. Step out means just want to get out of something. You can try this. And return to the cursor means again getting out of a method or something that you can play with them once you have methods or classes, everything in place. Okay. So now what shall we do now? What we should go by with one step over. Let's do this one by one. Now you can see it checks the condition and what happened now. So you can first at step 1, you can it's showing I is set to 1 here. You can clearly see this. And then it validated 1 less than or equal to 10 is true. It entered into the block. And then what happens now? It prints I, right? I is printed here. And then it moves to the next one. Then when this is executed at the beginning, you can see the value of I keep changing here. Okay. Now when we see this I, when this is incremented, you can see that this I gets incremented. And also at the bottom, you can see this all this this variables of your program. And this here also even we have I visible. And this I gets incremented. So like this, you can trace your program. Again, it checks condition. 2 less than or equal to 10 is true. And then it goes to the, if it is true, it enters loop. And then prints I. And then increments I. And then I becomes 3. You can see that change here. And then control goes to the while, checks the condition. 3 less than or equal to 10 is true. Again gets into the loop, prints I. Like that it goes, friends. This is how the execution happens in a debug mode. I hope this is clear. So this is the idea about in the console. If you can see the output at after every each iteration, you can see the value of I getting printed here. Got it, friends? This is a simple idea about what shall we say, friends, about this a simple while loop and tracing of while loop. So now we can remove this debugger and run this as is. Okay, in a normal mode. You can see here now. I removed debug mode. I ran this in a normal mode. If you want, you can try yourself in the debug mode. I hope this is clear for all of you. Right? Simple. This is simple. Now next program, we can try another one. What is this here? While we just observed how to print 1 to 10 numbers with Python program. Similarly, we can see the same with the 10 to 1. So how to print 10 to 1? It's simple, right? You can simply say set first I to 10. That is one thing. Second thing, change this condition a bit here. So what is that? I greater than or equal to 1. Then print I as usual. This time, as it is 10 to 1, it's decrementation. We are decrementing a value from 10 to 1. So when you are decrementing, what is that you should do? You should apply a decrementation here, I equal to I minus 1, okay, as a step statement. So now right click and then say run this one. You can see here you got output for 10 to 1, and also you can run from the console as well. It's up to you from where you should run. Okay, this is a quick idea about how to print values from 10 to 1. You can try this along with me. You can test this code, with me. Right, this is a simple idea. Next one after this. So I hope you all of you tested this. All of you are doing along with me. If you have any questions, you can keep asking me. No issues with that. Very good now. Is that clear to everyone now? Can you please confirm our chat? Okay. Right. Next, let's switch to the next program. Even numbers. What is an even number? How to print this even number? Even numbers means, right? Suppose you have something like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. All these are even numbers. And we can print these even numbers in two ways in this program. Suppose you set I to 0, and then you can simply say I less than or equal to. So what do you do right now? Here you can say printing events. Just speaking there. Add this comments usually printing events. And then I is set to 0, I less than or equal to 10, and then print I and I equal to I plus 2. Right click and then run, and you can see all even numbers. So what's happening here? We are just setting this I to 0 and then incrementing I by 2. This is a simple approach. This is approach 1. Okay, friends, you can test it quickly. Just take few seconds and you can test this. Test it fast. This is approach 1. Okay, let's do approach 2. Actually, this is more recommended than this one, what we did now. Approach 1. More than approach 1, approach 2 is more recommended. So what we do is let us keep this approach 1 as is. Let's not disturb this, so that we do get a clear idea about the possible options. Approach 1. Second one is approach 2. Okay. So this time, what I do is take a loop variable again. I took j here because I is already we are using at the um, in the first approach. So now set I to 1, j to 1 here, and then while j less than or equal to 10. Here Increment loop as usual from 1 to 10, but we should do a validation here. We should do a condition check here while verifying whether a number is even or not. Okay, so colon and apply if inside while. So this is like adding an if block inside while as well. It's not just a while. So we do add an if block as well. If uh, j percentile 2 equal to 0. Okay, friends. Then what shall we do now? So we have to print only if it is true. If this condition is true, then only we should print this j here. Okay, and as usual, increment your sorry j equal to j plus 1. That's it, friends. This is approach 2. What we are doing in approach 2, we are having an additional if block inside while, excuse me, friends, to validate whether this j is even or not. And you can see here now what is the execution flow. Every time condition is true, this if block checks whether this j is even or not. If it is even, then that j is printed. Else, j is not printed. So this is approach 2. Okay, now let's run it quickly. What we do is run them. So now you can see here two outputs. So maybe I'll do one thing. I will add a print here. Print, simply speaking, approach 2. That gives more clarity here. Okay. And then print approach 1. This is how you have to be clear with your code while writing code. Make sure it's clear. And then now what you do, now you can run this. Right click and then run your code. Now you can see here, it's very clear for us. Approach 1, 0 to 8. Approach 2, 2 to 10. Okay, if you don't want 0 here, you can start your, this initialization. You can set this to 2 here. Now in both places, you get same output. If you see here, the outputs in seems to be same. But which is more robust approach? This is the more robust approach, more best approach, efficient approach is approach 2, because there is a proper validation so that it checks values through 1 to 10 or 1. Yeah, for a matter of fact, this can be used for to validate any numbers from 1 to n, even the above one. But we don't have any condition check here, right? So this is a simple idea about different ways how to test your even numbers using this while loop here. I hope this is clear to all of you friends. And you can try many more with this loops here. If you see here, there are many programs you can try. I'll just show you just a minute. This is dynamic input. We'll talk about it after this. No problem. These are all while loops. You can see here there are many more programs you can try here. So what is this? Apart from even and odd, you can try factorial of a number, as prime numbers, composite numbers, all this stuff. You can see here. Print factors of a number, sum of factors, okay, count of factors. You can try all this, prime or composite. I'll just share you the list of programs so that you can go through them. But this is a quick idea, like how to use this while loop. Okay. So then what do we do now? And there are a number of, you can see here, these are all different logics with patterns as well. This is usually when you know about nested loops, okay? Not for normal loops. Nested loop means loop within a loop. I'll just show you how to declare that, okay? Here in the program, so what do we do now? I'll share all those exercises for you. You can try them. And anywhere if you have logics, I'll discuss that with you. So now, what is nested loop? Loop within a loop. Let me show you how to play with a nested loop. So let's take one more file here. Then you can choose like this and then say nested loop in Python. Okay, usually nested loop means loop within loop. Like, for example, let me just show you I equal to 1. You need two variables here, j equal to 1. What is that? Of course, it is not the variables might change. It is not necessary to be I or j. Okay. So you need two loop variables while, okay, you can see here I less than or equal to some 3 or 4 colon. Again, while, okay, j less than or equal to some 4. Okay, this is the nesting, a loop within loop. This is a nested loop. Okay, if you want to do patterns, we have just seen few programs here, right? If you want to do all these patterns, one loop alone is not sufficient. You cannot do this just with one loop. What is that we need? We need multiple loops or nested loops, sorry. So we need nested loops. So how to create nested loops, a loop within a loop? We just create like this. Simply speaking, you can see here, this is outer, this is inner. Like nested, if we need a nested loop. The outer loop, it repeats, iterates for how many times? Iterates means repeats. Iterates for how many times? 4 times. If outer loop iterates for 4 times, inner loop iterates for 4 into 4, 16 times. If this iterates for 1 time, inner loop iterates for 4 times. And if this iterates for 4 times, this iterates for 16 times. So that's how this nested loops function in Python. Not only in Python, anywhere in any language. Now, what do you do right now? Print. What do you want to print? You can play with all this. This is more interesting and, it's more fun when you are playing with this nested loops. Okay, what is that? Print J. And after that, what you can do? You can say j equal to, first here, increment the inner loop first, j equal to j plus 1, and then increment the outer loop after that, I equal to I plus 1. Now, if you run this, just run this. What is that? You get the value of I for 4 different times. You run this now. You can see here nested loop. We are just seeing only for one time. Let me just see why this is happening. Why it's not happening? See, there is a small change we should do here. So this initialization of inner loop. Initialization of inner loop. But where I am declaring this? I am declaring outside the loop. So remove this here, bring this into the inner loop, because once after this loop is executed for one time completely, j becomes 4, right? Once j becomes 4, I increments, and then when I increments, what happens? It checks I is 2, 2 less than or equal to 4 is true. It comes here. But if you don't put j here, and if your j is in the declared as a global variable here, then the previous value of j is 4. Even though I is set to 2, here it will check with 4 itself. It says 4 less than or equal to 4. Is it true or false? Then it is false. Means we are not declaring this properly. There is some flaw in the code. So what shall we do now? If nested loop should work, the initialization to inner block should be inside outer. not outside the outer. Now this time you can see four sets of outputs per j here. Okay, now run this, right click and then run. Now you can see here, you are seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I want to make some beautiful patterns here. I don't want one by one, but I need a rectangle here. If I need a rectangle, see, just all that is there in this just a simple nested block. If you understand this, see, this clearly, you can play with it. And 90%, 95% of the time, programming is all about understanding how this syntax is working, how these are functioning. Logic just is 5 to 10% thing. So that it comes with practice, or it comes, you can ask your friends or colleagues, still you can manage your work. But other things, if you are really clear, these are all more these are learnable things. You can learn this because many of us have this fear of programming. What I'm just quickly trying to tell is, but with my experience, what I tell to you, all of you, is it's all about focus. That's all, concentration. Logic then automatically will improve over a period of time. You don't need to have this fear like, I don't know programming. Can I do it? So it's just matter of focus and practice. That's all. Okay. And I don't want to talk more on this. Let's switch to the concept. So I just want to play with some patterns now. So it's all about small changes here. That's all. See here. This print is printing line by line. If you just manage this printing line by line, now if you see here, comma, and you can see here, you should use and option here, and equal to just slash, and then you have to apply some slash here. Let's put some space here. So don't use new line. Just a minute, friends. Don't use new line there. We just need. Sorry, friends, something came in the middle. Okay, that's it. Let's apply and separate this j with comma, and then try to run this. Yeah, now if you see, instead of printing line by line, and even if you don't want space, you can remove the slash t. You should excuse me, friends. I have a little caught up with cold. Okay, here, if you see here, there is a space. Even now, if you run like this, see here, a small change. Observe this in Python. If you don't want to print line by line, if you are printing just like this, usually we print just a value like this. If you print value like this, it's like printing that value and moving your cursor to next line. So it just prints value and simply pushes the cursor to next line. Okay, next line means it's not in the program for the output. Suppose you want to print, you don't want to print line by line, but you want to print in side by side. Then you have to say comma. You have to use this separator called end and simply set it to space. Then it won't push it to the next line, but it sets all the values to side by side, printing in the same line. It doesn't go by line by line. Now, if you run this, so right click, run nested loop, you can see here it's printing side by side. Suppose you want space here, just spread this space. Then this is one way to get little space here. Suppose you want a tab space, you can apply slash t. Slash t gives a tab space. These are escape sequences. Right click and then say, you can see here. But again, there is a question. How do I get, how do I print pattern here? How do I get a pattern? Pattern means what? A rectangle. Suppose I need a rectangle. After printing each nested loop output, inner loop output, I want to push this next output to the next. I mean to the next line. Then what should I do? I should manage my output here. That's all. This is all simple, very simple. Just playing here with some couple of you know these things. Now, once after this inner loop is completely iterated, one set of values are printed. Then after that, after this inner loop and inside outer loop. What? After inner loop and inside outer loop. Means outside inner loop, inside outer loop. So what should you do? Push your cursor to next line. Print. You don't need to do anything. Just put a simple empty print statement that will automatically push cursor to next line. What happens once this inner loop is executed completely for one time, it prints these numbers from 1 to 4. After this, what happens? Let me just show you in the notepad. It's more clear there. So suppose I'm printing a simple pattern and I'm trying to use this. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is iteration 1. So generally in this program, I want to have a simple pattern. Then after printing 1, 2, 3, 4, I want to push cursor to next line. Then what should I do? I should use a print after inner loop and inside outer loop. Now this print will push this cursor here, which is waiting at the first line on at the top of this line. When you use print, it pushes to the next line so that now again when inner loop iterates, then this values gets printing in the second line. Right? Again, this prints gets executed. Again, cursor gets printed. Again, output will be in the third line. Again, this once this inner loop is executed, this print gets executed. Okay, and I gets incremented. All this happens anyhow. So when print gets executed, again cursor is printed. You get 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. So this is how nested loop works in not only here. It is same in Python or Java or C or CPP or anything. Now, if you run this time, right click and say nested loop, you can see here you have a beautiful pattern here 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a simple rectangle. Suppose you want some stars, some stars. Simply add what is this a star here. That's all. Then instead of J, you can see some stars here. Right click and then run. You can find some stars. Instead of star, if you want some other value, then put something. Got it, friends? It's just matter of playing this outer loop and inner loop. And here, if this loop iterates for one time, this loop iterates for n times. I hope this is clear for all of you, friends. All of you are clear with this. This is a quick idea. This is printing rectangle. Suppose I want a triangle. What is that now? Instead of rectangle, I want a triangle. So if I need a triangle, a small change here. See all this, all again, this patterns is all about playing here. But I request all of you, I suggest to everyone, practice all this as much as possible. Because this is where you get that foundation. That's why if you want, we can do a session exclusively on this logic patterns, logic practice. Okay. So now run this. You want to print a triangle instead of rectangle. Simply change this j less than or equal to 4 to I. Then you might see a sudden difference in the output. You can see now we are seeing a triangle here. We can see a triangle here, star of a triangle, this is a star triangle. Similarly, you can play in different ways because if you see here, all this, there are multiple programs. You can try all this with numbers, with this special symbols. Okay, with binary digits. There will be number of ways to do this. I'll share all this program list to you. Try to solve it. If not, I'll share logic solved clearly explained to you. Okay, you can go through those sessions so that it's clear for you. Anyone is interested in improving your logic skills, you can try to go through that solved example. So I'll create a session for that and then share with all of you. So this is an idea about what is this, friends, how to work with nested loops. It's just simple matter of change for couple of simple changes inside and outside. That's it. This is the idea about nested loops. So that's a good thing. All of you did practice on this. So next one is what once this is done. Of course, there are many more programs. So you can try give a practice. I'll share that list in the group so that you can give a try. And still, if anybody has issues, you can connect with me after session. I can help you to solve this as many problems as possible. Okay, right. Now, after while, I believe now you are comfortable to work with while now. Maybe logic thing you have to keep practicing. You got it right. But now by now you should be comfortable with the you how to use this while. Okay, and the dynamics of while here. All of you are should be clear with this, right? Next after this is for loop, friends. This is very my favorite loop. If you ask me, this is for. And most of the time in Python, because we do a lot of automation, right? We don't use much of while compared to for. We use many, in many of the cases, we use for loop than while loop. I don't say we don't completely avoid while. There are scenarios where we use while, but for is much more used in Python compared to while. It has a lot of significance in Python. Okay, so now what is this for here? Again, this is another kind of loop in Python, but it is not like while or like for in other languages like C, CPP, Java, or C Sharp. So what is for here? It is a loop or iterator, which is used to iterate on collections or data structures. Okay. So far we didn't discuss much about any collections except we know about an idea about string. But even then we didn't play with much with the strings so far. Maybe after this I'll talk about strings, okay? But no problem. But still we can understand this with some other method here, which is called range function. We use range and let's do some testing on this range function. That is fine. So now the point is, what is this for here? For is something, an iterator, which is usually applied on collections or data structures in Python, right? And then the syntax look like this. The syntax look like this. For this is a dummy variable or temporary variable, what we call. In means what temporary in sense here the value just stays only for a moment until that iteration happens. That's all. For variable in your collection or data structure. Okay, and then statements after that. This is simple syntax. No incrementation, no decrementation, no step statement here because that is automatically taken care by the for itself. Again, you can ask me a question, where is initialization? For this, you don't need any initialization. Okay, so initialization is automatically set by the for itself. Increment step statement is taken care by the for itself. Condition. How many times your loop should iterate is taken care by the for itself. So this for is a sophisticated loop which takes everything by itself, which takes care of everything by itself. So the initialization part, the condition part, the step statement part, all that is taken care by the for itself. All our job is just just declaring a collection here or passing a collection here and then a variable here. That's all. And your logic inside this for loop. So you have to add your logic here inside this loop. That's all, friends. I hope this is clear, right? And what is the execution flow of this loop here? How this loop executes, okay? So this is simple. You have a collection here, right? Suppose let us take a small example. Let me show you with a simple example so that you get a clear picture about it. Sorry, you can ignore this. Okay. So here, let us take a small string because we are all familiar with strings, right? Because at least we know how to declare a string, something like, I'm just taking myself as nom tech. Okay. This is my string. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to apply a for loop on this. Okay. Right. So for what is the syntax, friends? Let us follow with me and maybe you can keep answering in your mind while I'm asking these simple questions. Okay. So what is this here? For what is the syntax we need to follow for this, this for a dummy variable. We'll understand why this dummy variable in this simple example. Okay. In this simple use case. For I in or for some C in, for a character, we get a character here in S colon. Okay, I just put nom tech here. So if you see here, it's so simple. The second variable here, we have two variables, 1 and 2. In the first part here, the first variable is a simple dummy variable or temp variable, temporary variable, and this is actual collection. Now this time we choose simple collection string because string is a collection group of characters, right? Anything with group of values is a collection, simply speaking. And string is a collection. Now if you see here, you have declared what is this here? A simple collection here and then a temporary variable. That's it. Now print this C here. So over. That's all. Now what happens here? This program prints this string character by character. This simple program is printing string, this nom tag character by character. Okay, what this program is doing? This is a simple program. What it does, printing char by char. So character by character. Now if I run this, see this output. Okay, see here. If you see here, we got character by character here, nom tag. So what's happening then? What is the execution flow? Put a debugger that gives you more clarity. Right click, run in debug mode. Now it started here. Now this is your collection. Now if you see here, let's go step over. And you can see here this time this is much more clear here. What is inside C now? See here. What is inside C? First time it copied N. And then now again step over. What it does now? That N gets printed now. N gets printed. Now again the cursor moved back to the beginning of for. And again it checks is there any other character inside this string here. So what it does is each time this loop iterates, one value from this collection is copied to this dummy variable. It might be C, it might be X, or it might be anything. But the position of this variable here, the variable one is a dummy variable. So each time you iterate this for loop, one character, one value from this collection is copied to this dummy variable, right? And that change you can see, that copying pattern you can observe here because it's clearly showing what is in C for now. Right now this C is printed. Now it is moving after printing this. It moves initially it will be pointing to the beginning of the string. Once this iterates, it prints N and then it's waiting. The cursor is waiting after N. Now when the iterator 2 starts, iteration 2 starts again, it tries to pull A. Now if you see this, see here now. What is happening now? It is trying to copy again A. Now that gets printed. See here. Maybe if you want to see the output, you can click on console and see the printing process after each iteration. So you can see what gets printed after every iteration. Just click on that console here. And debugger, if you want to switch to debugger this thing, if you want that options, click on this one here. Okay, this menu. Now again, what is that? step over. And now you can see again it copied O. Again that O gets printed. Again now after O, M gets copied to C. Now you can see that M in C and that gets printed. After M what again T. So now again from this string T gets copied to C and that is printed. You can see here. Okay. Now again after T again it copies E and that E is copied to C and that gets printed. Again after E it copies C. You can see here C is holding C again and that gets printed. Again it has a after C H. Again that H is copied and that gets printed. Finally, do you have anything to copy? No, nothing, right? Means that indicates end of your iteration. Now, for internally gets information that gets that end of your string. So it will stop iteration there because all these characters are iterated from starting from N to H. So that what happens? Your fur automatically understands. Okay, this is ended here. Internally, there will be there will be some sort of code implemented for that to get to know the end of this string. Okay, nothing happens automatically. For everything, there will be an inbuilt code which we don't see for this for keyword. That for that code, what it does is it will check end of after every iteration. It see whether this string is ended or not. Once this is ended, then it will stop iterating. That's how the code will be written internally for this keyword. Okay, right? So now finally you can see that all your output got printed, and finally what happened, friends? The execution of your loop got skipped for now because there is no more character to get copied to local variable now. This is a quick idea about how this special for works in Python. I hope this is clear for all of you, right? Because this is useful in many cases when you are playing with Python. All of you are clear here? So what's happening here is, simply speaking, whenever this for iterates, each time a value from this collection is copied to this temporary variable, and that is used here. Here we are just printing, but not every time we do prints. We apply some business logic here. In that business logic, we use this variables here. Got it, friends? I'll show you a couple of scenarios, no problem, while playing with data structures. Okay. So this is an idea. All of you are good now. You can test it yourself with this. Now, after that, let's move to the, what shall we say? I'll just copy this program and then Control Z. Let's keep our nested loop as is, okay? And let this program be here. Okay, next one, I'll add a program, new, and then Python file, and then, oh, sorry, just take you as, this for demo, then this one. This should be fine for us now. Okay, let it be layer. So this is printing character by character. That's all, friends. Okay, next. What is next one now? Let's jump to the other concepts of for here. We just had a quick idea. What is for? What is the syntax of for? And we got a very clear understanding how this for works in Python with a simple string example. Okay. Now next one. What is this now? Next. Now we don't have any idea about any collections or data structures. But still, if you want to play with this data structures, then one good option at this stage is using range method. What method? Using range method. What is this range here? Range is a method or a function which is used to iterate on a range of values. It produces a range of values. In a way, it's a kind of collection which provides range of values to you. Got it, friends? It's a collection which provides range of values. Okay, well, how it works, let's see that. So if you see here, we use a function range here to get that range of values, and it provides list of values here. And default it sets to 0. So by default, this range starts with 0 here. Okay, if you don't have anything, it starts with 0. And here, if you see friends, if you talk about range method, there are three different styles of range, three different formats of range. How many formats of range exist here? So this is in three forms. In the first form, it's just a range of n, where it just try to print n numbers. It provides n numbers. Second one, you have a start and end point. Third one, you have start point, end point, and you have a step statement to choose. In this way, range provides a simple way of working with over a range of values. But this we are not. This is not just alone enough. We need to learn a lot when you are dealing with Python, especially data structures plays a very important role in Python. So, but that is fine. Leave about it. We'll come to that point. But here, if you talk about range, now if you want to work with your fur, so we start using with the range. And how many forms are there? Three forms. We'll start with first form. This is style one. This is style two. This is style three. Not type one, type two, type three. Form one, form two, form three. You can take as is, as you wish. Okay. You can call it any of this. So shall we start with this form one? So now you are clear, right, friends? Excuse me. You are clear, friends. So what is this here? So range is something which provides a list of values to, and this range can be used to iterate over this a range of values. Okay, next one. So, now it is. Let's start with the type one. So what is this type one? Range of n. Range of n means here we don't by default this form one always starts with 0. This form one. Assume that this is form one. This one always starts with default. It starts with 0, ends with what is this? N minus 1. If n is 100, it ends with 99, and you don't have any other control here. Just when you say 100, it gives 100 values. Starts from 0, ends with 99. If you say 10, it gives 10 values, but starts with 0, ends with 9. And you can see here, what is that? N. When you talk about n, n is exclusive. Exclusive means it's not included, it's excluded. Now, why to waste so much of discussion here? So what do we do? Let's see it with a small program. Automatically you get a clear picture. Now what do you do here? Right click and then just say a simple Python file and then range demo. Okay, that gives you a clear idea. So what do you do now? You just take for loop. You don't need anything. Simple. It's so simple, right? I just want to print 1 to 10 numbers. What is that, friends? 1 to 10. But what I am doing for that, I am depending on range method. So now for I in I choose range method like this. Then if I want to print 1 to 10, what should I do? I have to give 11 here. But of course, don't worry, you don't get 1. You get 0 by default, right? So now you are printing 0 to 10 in a way. If you ask me, we don't have a choice to start with 1 here in this type 1 form. In this first form, you can only start by 0 and end with some n minus 1. So if you see here, this is simple type 1 and then put colon and then print I and then run this, right click and then run them. And did you see the output now? You have output till 10. I gave 11. It ended with 10 because if it is n here, your value ends with n minus 1. But if you observe here, what is the start? Always it starts with 0. So what is the nature of this range here? It starts with 0, ends with n minus 1. It provides a list of values here. So, right, this is how type 1 works, form 1 works in Python. Got it, friends? Understood now? Test this, please. Suppose you ask me a question. I want to control this. I don't want to start from 0 and end with some 11. I want to start wherever I want to start. I want to start at 10 and print till what? Till 20. Or I want to start at 100 and print till 200. Then what shall I do? Then form 1 is not useful for you. Form 1 is just, it prints natural numbers from 1 to 0 to n. That's all. N minus 1 otherwise. Okay. It simply prints natural number. Of course, on top of this, you can apply many logics. This is printing 1 to 10. Right. Blindly, it just does only an incrementation. I don't think you can apply any decrementation on this. The next question comes. Most of you come up with a question. How do I have a start point and end point? Then don't choose this type 1. Then go for what? Type 2. If you want to have a definite start point and end point, then choose type 2. X is starting point, Y is ending point. Where to start, where to end. This is type 2. But before that, can you give me a quick answer in the chat box? Are you really clear with this, friends? Are you clear with type 1? Did you get a clear idea about this one, friends? Can you please answer in the chat? Someone please confirms. Are you good with this now? Please answer in the chat box, friends. Thanks. Thank you. Now, let's play with this now then. Then we are not satisfied with this, right? This is just for a simple range which just produces range of values from 0 to n minus 1 otherwise. That's all. That too, it's a default incrementation. Now, second approach. This is also more of doing an increment process. If you want to do from 10 to 1, this won't work. If you want, this gives you only incremental values here. This first two ranges just provides only incremental. It won't work for decrementation. And again, I'll come to that point again. Now let's see. Now you want a definite start point and end point. Choose type 2. Come here. You see here another scenario. Okay, what is that scenario? This is first scenario. I'll add one by one here. This is scenario 1. CNARIO, scenario 1. And then don't put this slash. This is Java comment or some CPP comment, I believe. Don't apply. Here either put hash or triple quotes. And here scenario 2. Scenario 2, you are testing range 2. Okay. Scenario 2. And then here, simply speaking, you want to print numbers from what do you want now? You want from 20 to 30. Let's take this. Then this won't work. You know, right? This by default starts with 0. Then what should we do? Switch to form 2 or type 2 of range. Then copy this program. Don't sweat yourself much. Okay, copy this program. And here choose where to start. You have to start with 20. Put that start point. And where to end? You should end with 30. Then put 31 here. So what is that? You choose this type 2 range, form 2 range, where it has start point and end point. Start is fine, but end you have to be a little observative here. Why? Instead of 30, you put 31 so that you achieve your printing 20 to 30. Now run this. You don't need to do anything. Right click and then run this, and then you can see here. In the first case, we have 0 to 10. In the second scenario, you are able to print 20 to 30. Suppose if you give 30 here, what happens? Be clear here. Most of you know now. It will print till 29. It will exclude this n value. Suppose this is a n here, then this n is excluded. So you get only till 29. So just observe that. This is a simple thing to observe. So this is step 2. Okay, or form 2. Again, you have a question. I want to reverse it. Now I want to print in a descending order. These two are simply working in ascending order. I don't want this Manoram. I don't want these two. I want something in reverse order. Then, out of our curiosity, what we do? Suppose you see here, you put this as a 10. I want 10 to 1. Assume that scenario 3. Okay, let's play with that now. Let's take that. Let's have all in one program, no problem. You can just add simple print here after printing. Okay, simply you can just add uh, range form 1. Okay, and again scenario 2, you can add a print here simply range form 2. You can keep adding comments to make it more clear, to have a clear output. Okay, and now right, we as a learners or programmers, what we have different thoughts in our mind. Now I want reverse, like I want something like 10 to 1, but I want to do that with range. Then what I do is I'm just trying to print them here. If you see here, so printing a 10 to 1 stuff here. So but what I'm doing, I am using form 2 for that. Yeah, here I put 10 and I put 1 here, assuming that it starts with 10 and it comes till 1, or it might, otherwise 0, put 0. Then what I am doing now, I am trying to run this code and then print it. But in the third case, if you see here, in the third case, see, you can see you got output from form 1, this one, okay, and you got output from form 2, which is that second one, but you didn't get output from third thing. It's just showing only 10 to 1. Where are the values here? We are not seeing any values here. Why? Because this condition is not going to work. This is always false. While iterating internally, it checks a condition. This part checks condition on range. But this doesn't work for decrementation. It is by default, both first form and second form is applicable only for in incremental way. Then the question again, you ask a question. So how do we do? Do we have any approach for this? Any solution for this? Then the answer is what? Excuse me. Answer is third form. You can see here range of start point, end point, and step statement. This works in both ways. This works for ascending order and descending order. It gives you range of values in either incremental form or decremental form. XY is start point, end point. It can be anything. It can be in ascending form or descending form. It can be 10 to 1 or 1 to 10. It's up to you. And N means step statement. Step statement means either you should go in positive direction or negative direction. Positive direction, incrementation. Negative direction, decrementation. Is that clear for all of you friends? Right? And when I say like this, it will be a little confusing for you. So when you see a small example, you just feel like, oh, this is so simple. That's all, friends. Okay. So what shall we do now? Let's go to the program again. So I want to play with this. So what is this I should do? I need to print one choice is printing. We'll do a bunch of programs. Okay. So we'll go one by one in a simple. We'll build each and every program in more understanding way. Let's start with the approach 1 to 10. Let us use form 3. So we are playing with form 3 here. Okay. So if I want 1 to 10, we have to use 3 parameters: start point, end point, and the third one is step. Step means by how much you should increment or decrement this step. So now first we should start with 1 comma and then 11, because it takes up to 10 here. So comma 1. If you put 1, of course, you don't need to give 1 here, but still if you put 1, means you are saying that this step statement increment by 1. Now, if you run this, so third form, it is, you can add hyphen 1 to 10 applying form 3 to just to have a clarity. Now run this code, right click. And now if you can see output from form 3. And again, immediately all of you are very curious, right? You want to reverse this. You want to print 10 to 1. Then the first two forms are not useful for us. So they won't work for us. Then go apply this. Here, give 10 and then give 0 here. If you want till 1, 0, then what should I put here? Should I put 1 here? Sorry, friends, there was a slight power glitch. So, are you able to hear me? Can you please confirm in the chat box uh, and are you able to see my screen now? I had a slight power glitch. Okay, so that's why I maybe I got disconnected for a minute. Just please check and please check if you are if I am audible. If my screen is visible, please confirm. I think most of you told yes, so no problem. Shall we continue now? We'll continue for a few more minutes and then we'll stop this session today. Okay. Yeah, thanks for confirming. Right. Next, see, we are seeing this third form. Actually, we are going in a very, this thing. Uh, Now, if you see here, we are printing 10 to 1. Okay, this is again, let's just do one thing. Let's not touch this. Let's put it as is. Okay. The previous program, let's leave it as is. What do we do right now? This is printing 1 to 10. Of course, here it. So what is that here? This is printing 1 to 10. Let's take one more scenario, scenario 3, just to understand all different varieties. So what is this now? This is scenario 3. Now we are going with scenario 4. Okay, copy this and paste here and then apply. What is this, friends? Here, you take this as a scenario 4 and then this is the 10 to 1 and form 4. And then here it is 10 and this is 0. And then here, what is this? It should be, not 1, it should be -1. If you want it in negative reverse order and descending order, put -1. Now what happens now? Run this. See the last output, okay? Last output. Now if you see here, what is the output you are getting here? 10 to 1. But if you want to be more clear, simply what you do here after every this thing, what you do is just apply and then add some spaces here and then comma and add some so that you can see your output in the same line. Okay, you don't need line by line thing and no need of any confusion. So and add space and then and add space, or you can put slash t. It's up to you. I'm just putting space here and then now you can see here output is so clear for us. Maybe just add a bit of space after everything so that it makes more sense for us. So we understand a comparative, we get a comparative analysis. Your output will be more clear to observe here. Range, you can see here form 1 printing 0 to 10. Of course, form 2, what shall we do now? It's printing 20 to 29. And form 3, it's printing 1 to 10. And form 4, it's printing 10 to 1. Now this is working, right? You can see here now. Of course, that format you can change it a bit, okay? Not an issue. So all of you are clear here now? So this is printing in descending order. Ascending already we can use form 1, form 2, form 3. We have 3 forms to do ascending for, but descending only third form works for us. So suppose another scenario. This is so sophisticated. See now. Suppose you want to print all even numbers using this per. Okay. Even numbers from 1 to 10. Assume 1 to 10 or 1 to 1000 or 1 to 1 lakh or 1 crore is same. The program is same. If you can deal with first few numbers, it's all same for n numbers. So let's print even numbers from 1 to 10. And here the simple thing is 10 to 1. Anything is fine. So 1 to 10 and then form 5. Here we are printing even. Okay. And then changes. Put 1 and then put 10 and then here what is that I should do if I want even number? Step should be 2. Of course, I don't get even numbers in this scenario. I get odd numbers. So what should I do now? Make a small change to this start point 0. Okay, right. So now my step is 2 here. Then when I run this, you can see here now, see the output. What happened? So here it is 0, 2, 8, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. What is that, friends? So you got it right? Right. So that's the point here. Simply 1 minute. Let me put a simple print here and run now. Okay, no problem. I want more clear output for me. I am a developer, right? So I don't want clumsy output. I want little more readable output. I don't see it readable. So now it should be good for me. Right click and then now, yep, I am good now. See the output here. It's more readable, right? So 10 to 1 to 10 even. If you see last one, what happened in the last program, last scenario, it incremented by 2 here. So simple, right? See, you have different ways to play. Again, scenario, this is scenario 5, I believe. Let's take scenario 6. Are you enjoying this? This range concept and for thing in Python? It's so simple and more easy, easy to play with this. Now, I want to print odd numbers from 1 to 10. What I need here is odd numbers from 1 to 10. Then what? You don't need to do anything. 1, 10, and then 2. Enough. No need to do anything. Then right click and then run this. But small change here instead of even change this printer. Again, it gives it's not tradable output. So now this is perfect. Now you have 1 to 10 and odd here. At the end, if you see, just a change of values here. That's all. You should be clear where you should start, where you should end, and what should be your step. That is very important. Suppose I want odd number. I want this in reverse order. I want even numbers in reverse. I want odd numbers in reverse. Then what should I do? Copy this and then scenario 6, right? This is scenario 6 and then scenario 7. Let's take this. See how easy this is. scenario 7. Now what I need is, I need even numbers in reverse order. So 10 to 1 and then 10 to 1 even. I want, what I need is events in reverse order. So here 10 to 1 events. Okay. And then change this values a bit here. Start with 10 and with 0 and put -2 here. What is that? Put -2. If you want to get decrement by 2, then your step should be -2 here. The third argument has to be -2. Now run this again. Okay. Right. So run this. And at the end, you can see 10 to 1 even. You got 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. If you want 10 to 1 odd, simply speaking, 10 to 1 odd means no, this one is not like this. What should you do? Start should be 11 here. Okay, if you put 10 again, it gives even numbers only. So what should you do? Just put 11 here or 9 here. Okay, and then decrement, your step should be -2. Right click and run this. Now, if you see here, of course, you can, this is what, let's do one thing. Copy this. I just modified the same program. Right. So what is this program we did? We did odd numbers, right? Right, odd. 1 to 11 increment by 2, then this is good. This is perfect. 10 to 1 odd in reverse order. Just a minute. I'm just aligning what. So here you put 11 and then you put, what is that, friends? Some anything of your choice now. 1 and you have to do this by -2. That's all. Let's run this. Let's run this. Now you can see here now 10 to 1. You can see this is actually ascending odds. This is descending odds. Similarly, if you want descending events, then what do you need? Sorry, if you want events, already we did that, I hope, right? So if you just increment by 2, you get events. Sorry, not here, this one. Right, I hope this should be clear for all of you friends. This is an idea about how to play with the, so this special for loop. All of you are good now. I hope I didn't confuse you people, okay? I made sure that you are clear with this, which one I should say? This nested, this per concept. So you got a clear today. It's a very good useful session for all of us. Because why? Because we got an idea about multiple things here. One is about playing with the while, all different loops and nested while. And then we had seen couple of scenarios covering while. And then again, we came to for, and we understood the very important point is we understood range and different forms of range. And we see many scenarios, like if you see, there are so many scenarios to play with this range in today's session. So this should give you a clear picture about, like, how to play with this. Okay. So that's for today. What we do in tomorrow's session is we'll play with few more programs tomorrow and then switch to the next topic. Maybe we are done with fundamentals of your Python. Okay. All this basic fundamentals, the variable part, data types, all that, operators, loops, decision making statements, all that. Maybe we'll do couple of combination programs tomorrow and then switch to another topic, maybe functions, maybe string concept tomorrow. So that would be good for us. Any questions? Now we are done with the session. Right. If you have any questions, sir, please let me know. Maybe we can take up questions. If not, we can stop this. We'll stop here. Okay, friends. Catch you up again. If you have anything, please ping me. I'm stopping this here. Okay.